Hello and welcome to Talking Through Game. It's a preview of West Ham United against Everton. Just 3 home games left. We're here in association with our sponsor, Royal London Watches. Gonzo, what's your view on the Toffees?
They're really good. Koeman, he had a little dip when he first went there, and then I think some people were thinking, is he the real deal? But he's really carried on from that early promise that he showed at Southampton. He's got them playing really well. He's got a tune out of people like Morales as well. Look, he's bought well. They actually bought Balassi. He looked like he was going to be really good. Got an injury. £30 million, a lot of money. Having said that, clearly been backed by the owners, and now he's bringing in young players into the team as well. The right back who's replacing Seamus Coleman, who's got a really nasty injury, and of course young what's his name, Davis? Is it Davis? He's a really good player. He reminds me of Michael Johnson, who broke through at Man City a few years ago. Plays 1-2s, very sort of languid style, doing a really good job. And of course, they got Romelu Lukaku, who's bound to score against us up front.
Charlie, are Everton doing this season what we thought and hoped and were sort of led to believe West Ham would do?
Basically, yeah. I mean, if you look at their team, they're basically what we would want to be in like 3 or 4 years' time. Consistently pushing for those top spots. They've got one of the best managers in the league. They've got undoubtedly one of the best strikers in the league. They are what people said we should be at. We're pushing for those Europa League and even Champions League spots. They are pushing the likes of Man United and Arsenal this year, and they're what ultimately we should be hoping we could be in 3 or 4 years' time, in that we have a core group of really good players. We've got some young players coming through, and then we've got ridiculously good players like Romelu Lukaku, who are there, young, like sellable, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, like they are what we should be in a couple of years.
I can only echo what you two said. I think he is the best manager in the league, actually, given what he gets at Southampton and Everton and what he produces. I think he is the best manager. If I could pick one manager for West Ham and it's come, it would probably be him, actually. Gonzo, where do Everton go from here next season? What's their aim?
Well, they've got to try and hang on to these players. For starters, really, Lukaku's refusing to sign a new contract. It's quite interesting things going on. They've got Delafeu, who I think is out on loan at AC Milan. Looks a real player. I mean, if we could get hold of him, I'd be absolutely delighted. But he's moulding the squads in his own image. Where they go from here, if they can keep Lukaku and then add a couple more 30-40 million pound signings, they've got every chance of moving up and towards the top echelons, if you like. They'll just want to finish above Liverpool, of course, to start with. It's probably interesting. I don't think they pay much higher wages than we do, Everton, but as I say, they signed Lukaku for 28 million, Balassi for 30, and they're hoovering up players like Lookman, the young talent around. So I think a key marquee signing is probably the next stage for them.
Charlie, he's got 9 in 9 against us. He scored his last 9 against us. He's going to score again, isn't he? It's a matter of how many and when.
He is, and he's gone from being the guy who always scores against West Ham to the guy who just scores against everyone. I mean, if you've had any doubts about how good he can be or how good he is, he's proving that really wrong. He's a dangerous player. He has strength, but he also has pace. He just basically has everything. He's a fantastic striker, and Everton you talk about marquee signings, Everton would do well to hold on to him this summer, because I would not be surprised if the likes of PSG and people like that are looking at him and thinking, actually, he could be better than Cavani in a year's time. Why not get him? He could be better than whoever in a year's time. He is a fantastic player.
Well, not only is Lukaku doing the business at Everton, so is Enner Valencia. In 2017 at Goodison Park, while he's been on the pitch, Everton have scored every 10 minutes. Fantastic stat if you're an Evertonian. The man in the middle at the London Stadium is Roger East. We haven't had him very many times. We've only had him twice in the Premier League. Drawn one and lost one. We've had him once this season. We got beat 3-2 at home to Leicester not too long ago. Everton, you've had him 5 times in the Premier League. You're unbeaten in 5 times with Roger East as referee. He's won 3, drawn 2, but you've not had him this season. Moving on to West Ham, Gonzo, is it time for a change in the sticks?
Definitely. Not that it's going to do a lot. It's a bit like rearranging the chairs on the Titanic, isn't it, really? We're going to concede goals because we're quite bad all over, really, at the moment. Unfortunately, I think, I'd stick Adrian in, but needs to be addressed in the summer, of course.
Charlie, no right back, or do you put Nordveit right back? So is it 4 at the back or 3 at the back for you?
I go 4. I hate 3 at the back. Well, I don't hate it, but I just don't think it works for us. I don't think we have the tactical suitability to fit it at all. So I would go 4 at the back and put probably Nordveit there, just because I think he has the most defensive stability. Maybe even, Nordveit. Yeah, just to have something there, basically.
Who does Reed replace for you, Charlie, or does Reed not come in?
I think the other 2 have done really well. I think bringing him in, although I think he is our best defender, I think bringing him in when James Collins seems to have had 2 games of his life and then Fonte's starting to step up, I think would be a bit harsh. But just having that presence on the bench of someone as good as Winston Reid would hopefully drive them to continue the performances.
I think we need to go 3 at the back for this one. You're right. We haven't played very well with 3 at the back, but we've not done any better with 4 at the back. We've just completed 2 at Sunderland and 2 at Hull. So I think that. So for me, I'd play all 3 of them. Gonzo, I know what you were going to play for the Sunderland game, so I'm intrigued as to whether you're keeping it the same. Are you playing Masuaku and Creswell?
I think I would, and there's two main reasons behind that. Number one, I don't think we effectively get crosses onto Andy Carroll. I don't think we play to Andy Carroll's strengths. I think he receives the ball too deep, and when I'm in the box, I want crosses going over to him. Whilst Cresswell's not done fantastically well defensively this season, he is a good crosser of the ball. He can really deliver the ball, so I'm pretty sure it would strengthen that left side. The other reason is I'm not really that keen on seeing Snodgrass or Faguli play, so it's one less wing place we have to worry about. I think we're safe anyway. I'd certainly go for it and try and swing some balls over to Andy Carroll's head.
Charlie, who would you play up front? Gonzo would obviously play Andy Carroll. Would you keep Carroll, or would you just change up for the sake of changing it up a bit?
I would have said Antonio if obviously he was available. Unfortunately, he's not, just because I think pace is what we need at this time. I would honestly start... Yeah, Carroll. I mean, part of me says Caleri, just because I think I'm so bored of seeing Carroll up front and how ineffective it can be at times. But, I mean, he's the number 1 first choice, and we definitely have him going into next season. So, starting to give him more game time. And if we do play, I would, although Gonzo, I think, would play Cresswell further forward, I would play Masuaku further forward. If we are going to do something like that, just to get balls into the box, he's obviously going to feed off them way better than Caleri would. But there is part of me which says Caleri, but Carroll definitely needs to stop.
Gonzo, would you keep Fernandez in beside Cecchiati, or would you try and change the centre midfield up a bit? You don't have much options, I suppose, but you could put Lanzini in there.
Well, I like Lanzini central. I guess it depends what shape you play. He wasn't fantastic, Fernandez, but he's a young player. We've been asking him to play there many, many times this season. He deserves a start. And what I don't like is seeing these players dropped in for one game, or whoops, it doesn't work, and then they're dropped. They're pulled out again. I think we need to find out how good Fernandez is. I think he needs to play there for the rest of the season, probably. So I'd like to see him in the middle. It's sort of a bit the same with Nordveit. You were saying about Nordveit at right back. Again, it'd be a real shame for Nordveit. He'll probably get dropped in at right back. If he does, he's probably going to get skinned by Morales. It's no reflection on Nordveit. It's a reflection on Morales' good form. And it's almost like he'll get dropped in. Oh, no, he's rubbish, and then get pulled out again. So I think when you put people in, you need to give them a little run to see what they could do. So, yes, I probably would play him in the middle.
Yeah, I would actually play Caleri in this one. I just think it's time for a change, really. I think we are safe, but I'm just fed up of seeing the same 8 or 9 players each week in the same team that hadn't worked the previous week. I think it's just time for radical changes. And I quite like the idea of Cresswell, Masuaku. I wasn't really keen on it at first, but when I thought about it, I thought, you know what, I would actually just go 3-4-3 on this one, with the back 3 clearly up front with Cresswell and Ayew either side of him. I want to see pace like Charlie. I think against Everton, I think you need to go counter-attacking. Charlie, is this a case of which keeper's crappiest? Because their keeper's not very good either.
Possibly. The defense probably has more to do with it. Basically, if we can stop Lukaku, which we won't, then we'll win. But the problem is we're not going to. And their goal score, I think they've only not scored in like 5 games this season or something. And then I think the last time they didn't score a goal was in the middle of February or something like that. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but they're going to score. They're going to score, even if our goalkeeper wasn't. And I'm a Randolph fan. I actually still prefer Randolph over Adrian, but he just looked so panicked against in the last game against Sunderland. Like, that worries me. And I think their keeper's probably going to be slightly more composed despite the situation. So it's going to be more about defenders and how quickly we can keep up with Lukaku or how quickly they can keep up with whoever we play up front. But honestly, it's a tough game to say we're going to get much out of it.
Everton have won 6 of their last 8 visits to West Ham, drawing the other 2. Gonzo, are you confident for this one? How do West Ham get something out of this one?
You know, it's forever been thus. I think going in 1984, and my old man saying Everton are going to thrash us today, and they always beat us. I think they're a bit of a bogey team, actually. How are we going to get something from it? I don't know. I'm not confident that we will. All I can do is look at it and hopefully take a few glimmers from a few individual performances that will perhaps help us in some way towards next season. I don't think, if you're looking for some great tactical plan that's going to see us beat Everton, I don't think there is one. I don't think we have enough fit players. I don't think we have enough star players. I'm sorry, it sounds really, really negative, and I've not said this very many times this season, but I just can't. I can't think of some cunning plan to defeat them, basically. Sorry.
Charlie, have you got a cunning plan? Yeah, as I said, I think. Yeah, right. Yeah, as I said, I don't think we're going to be able to stop Lukaku. I don't think we're going to be able to stop them scoring, and so it becomes a case of we need to outscore them. That's why I would probably play 4 at the back over 3, because I think 3 takes away one less person going forward and tends to cut down our passing lanes to the point where we just seem to be terrible. Not that we've done much better with 4, but the signs have been at least slightly promising over the last couple of weeks. So for me, you have to start with like a 4-2-3-1, really get the passing going and try and give us options going forward. That's the big thing we've missed, is when we go forward, it seems to be incredibly obvious where we're going and teams just hoover it up. If we're going to play Andy Carroll, don't have him drop deep. As much as I like to see him drop deep and get involved in the play, just push the back line as far out, create space for Lanzini to run into, for whoever plays on the wings to run into, get those space, because honestly, that's the only way we're going to win. I don't think keep them at bay. They're too good. Lukaku is too good. We just have to outscore them, and that's the way it goes. That's the way we're going to have to do it. I kind of agree with you, Charlie. I know you said stop Lukaku, stop everything. I think last season I would have agreed with you. This season I can't. I think if you stop Lukaku, you've still got another 3 or 4 players capable of hurting you. Ross Barkley, to me, like the player he's always promised he could be. I'm starting to see what he's sort of offered when he first burst onto the scene. He's never really got up that height. I think Koeman knows how to get the best out of him, and he looks dangerous. They just got danger all over the pitch, actually, Everton. And they've got probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, overshadowed by Kante at Chelsea, unfortunately. But I just can't see how we're going to get anything from this game. I'm a bit like Gonzo. I'm not normally this negative. I'm normally trying to predict at the very least a draw, but they're just so good. They're in red hot form right now, and we've just got no players. When we were on our forum at Hammers Chat, when you do your what 11 would you like to see? I remember doing mine for this week, and I went to do the bench. I could only come up with like 5 or 6 people, and I thought, bloody hell, we don't have players. So I just deleted it. I thought I'll just leave the bench for this one. But we just don't have players, unfortunately. They pick themselves. It's just, I feel sorry for Bilic this weekend, actually. There's just nobody to choose from. It's very much, there's going to have to be square pegs and round holes somewhere across the pitch, and it's not great. But Gonzo, I think we know where this score
3-1 to Everton.
Charlie, you've been a bit more optimistic. You've been sitting there quite positive-ish.
Well, I can't see them scoring any less than 2. So let's say 2-2. I think we can. I'll go a classic Gio. I'll do a Desmond 2-2.
That's my favourite scoreline, man. I'm not going for that. I'm going to say 2-0 Everton. I just struggle to see where our creativity is coming from in this one. I think, you said, Charlie, stop Lukaku, stop Everton. Well, for me, if you stop Lanzini, you stop West Ham. And that's what's the most worrying thing, unfortunately. But anyway, you guys at home, let us know what 11 you would like to see and what bench you can muster together. You can do that in the comments below. Come on to our forum at hammerschat.com. Hit the subscribe button. We've got a different video coming up. It's probably be at the start of next week. Charlie's going on a little road trip somewhere tomorrow, and you'll see that video at the end of next week. Myself, Gonzo, and the other will be doing a review at the boats after the game on Saturday, hopefully celebrating a surprise victory. But we'll probably be talking about a Lukaku goal. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on Saturday night.